Harriet, it has fallen upon us at last. The long-teased Peter Gilbert week. A week where I look only at comics by a writer I don't really like. Don't know why I thought this was an idea worth doing, but we're starting the Peter Gilbert festivities with his first issue of Doctor Strange. Issue 74, a Secret Worlds II tie-in. There is, however, some possible shenanigans going on here. This issue is coming at an awkward time, and I think I have worked out what maybe has happened. You might think, oh no, here we go again. One of his stupid, baseless theories. I found out I was bang on right about that Doom 2019 cover. If you look at the top, it was for the issue before, and they bumped it to the next one, exactly like I says. Doctor Strange 73, the issue before this, was written by Royce Sternum. The issue after this is written by Royce Sternum. That is Royce Sternum's final issue. My original belief was that Royce Sternum wrote issue 75 to run as issue 74, but Shooter had intended a Secret Worlds II tie-in to be done, and Royce Sternum, who had already finished the issue, left the book because he had already fulfilled his monthly obligation of writing an issue of Doctor Strange. He wasn't writing another one. So we get a fill-in by Peter Gilbert tying into Secret Worlds II. But here's where things get weird. We have a lot of wrap-up. It's peculiar to see a fill-in by another writer so firmly plant itself within the other writer's story. It is possible. I think Royce Sternum maybe scripted or plotted these pages. I think they could have been in his original script for what would be the next issue. I don't know. I think there might have been because we have Doctor Strange and Rachel McAdams separating here. They love each other, but they are to remain worlds apart. Doctor Strange is needed on Earth. Rachel McAdams now rules the dork dimension. They cannot be together, and the tone here is until we meet again, and maybe we can find other loves. Issue 75 ends with Royce Sternum introducing a new female character into the supporting cast, T'Pau. That would go along with the find other loves idea we have here. That issue also begins with a repeat of a scene from Fantastic Four, so maybe that's there to substitute for the pages from that issue they took to put in this one. Mark Beaver does the art for this, and he even looks like he is trying to do Paul Smith in some places. Rachel McAdams in panel 7, that looks very Paul Smith. This next page has a big fat production error that allows me to talk about something only one of you wanted to know about. Here, this is an example of Marvel doing that art effects DC use in the Who Is Who books. There were a few examples in that Spider-Man story with Spider-Girl and Wreck-It Ralph. It has gone wrong here, twice over. I think they got the layers the wrong way around, with the text in the boxes underneath it, and then it's also not lined up right, as evidenced from the bottom image where it's meant to disappear behind Rachel McAdams' head. They fixed it for the Masterworks. R.I.P. Masterworks. While we are closing off Roy Sternham's big final arc, Beyond a Man spies on our title star, and this catches Doctor Strange's attention. Doctor Strange then returns to Earth. He had just been in the Dork dimension with Rachel McAdams, and he comes home to find Wang and his other associate, Sarah, entranced. What has happened is, in his absence, Beyond a Man came to Doctor Strange's sanctum, looking for Doctor Strange. Beyond a Man wanted to know about enlightenment. He wants to experience enlightenment. That is the current of his constantly changing motivations. I will say, I've not already established, I like this issue. It's pretty good. Reading this, I noticed that Beyond a Man, his motives and his agenda are so much clearer in the tie-ins. The writers tended to focus on one of the many random tangents Beyond a Man goes on in the main series, and that makes for much stronger stories. If you just read this issue, if you just read the Avengers issue, if you just read the other Avengers issue, Beyond a Man is much more coherent as a character when his goal isn't shifting every 3 pages. So Doctor Strange goes in search of this incredibly, unbelievably powerful entity that breached his sanctum and came looking for his aid. It is firmly said in this that Doctor Strange does not know of Beyond a Man yet. He doesn't know who Beyond a Man is. He has not encountered him or his threat before, which will be a huge sticking point for our next discussion, which is placement. Doctor Strange finds Beyond a Man at a bar trying to get drunk and then getting into a bar fight. First up, the issue of The Thing is Secret Worlds II tie-in. That opens with Beyond a Man drinking at a bar, so that is a neat way to link these issues. This is supposed to take place in between issues 5 and 6 of Secret Worlds II. The problem? Secret Worlds II issue 5 features Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is alongside the Avengers and Fantastic Four when they confront Beyond a Man. If we could place this issue just before that, it would work, but the intention, Shooter's intention, was that Doctor Strange takes place after it. It also takes place after the issue of Thing I just mentioned, and before Fantastic Four 285. Shooter provided and coordinated and laid out the order of the crossover, and truthfully, it doesn't really work that way. I would recommend seeking an alternative reading order. I don't know how much Marvel Chronology Project or Super Mega Monkey stick to Shooter's order, but they are also likely to have iffy orders due to having to handle continuity mistakes in issues of the main series. I say enjoy the tie-ins as their own thing. Secret Worlds II is barely worth reading. Appreciate the tie-ins that are often decent and make more sense than the main story. Doctor Strange, he is overwhelmed by the intensity of Beyond a Man's nature. A man who has stood face to face with eternity and the tribunal feels dwarfed by Beyond a Man. Cameo here from Molecular Man and Beyond a Man's original Combo Man style appearance. I do reckon I would enjoy Secret Worlds II more if Beyond a Man looked like that through the whole thing. Doctor Strange has a brief internal conflict about how to deal with Beyond a Man. Beyond a Man is too powerful and potentially destructive to permit to live, but Doctor Strange is a hero, and so Doctor Strange tries to share some enlightenment with Beyond a Man by taking him on a visual tour of the origin of Doctor Strange. We all know it, I'm sure. This is straight from Strange Adventures 115. Stanley Lee and Steve Dittman. A classic Marvel origin tale. Although Doctor Strange isn't on the cover of that, so I don't know what I'm cutting away to there. This is helpful for us because the origin of Doctor Strange is something that we will be hitting on again during this Peter Gilbert week. Doctor Strange was a selfish surgeon. It was in an automobile accident which crippled his hands and prevented him from continuing his medical career. Desperate for a cure, Doctor Strange went to the Himalayas in search of Tilda Swinton, a mystic who supposedly performs miracles. And Doctor Strange wound up entangled in a plot by Tilda Swinton's apprentice, Baron Zordon, who was planning to betray his master. This time, Beyond a Man is also there to observe all of this. An important part of this story is that Beyond a Man, he too feels the need to intervene and try and stop Baron Zordon's schemes, much like how Doctor Strange did in the past. Doctor Strange, he became Tilda Swinton's new apprentice after exposing Baron Zordon. And Baron Zordon goes on to be one of Doctor Strange's most recurring enemies. Only pointing that out because we will be seeing more of him this week too. Beyond a Man doesn't feel all that happy about what he has learned or what Doctor Strange hoped that he would learn. He doesn't understand why enlightenment and happiness aren't the same, and he doesn't like that sacrifice is a thing. In typical Secret Worlds II fashion, Beyond a Man changes his mind about what he wants, and he leaves. Doctor Strange is left worried about what Beyond a Man could do, but he hopes that what he imparted on him, what he tried to teach him about his own self-discovery, will factor into whatever Beyond a Man does going forward. Rebirthing himself as a baby. I think this is a great issue. It is a strong tie-in. It might not be the most thrilling thing ever, but it did the standard hero versus Beyond a Man angle of many of these tie-ins. But it did it in a way maybe more appropriate with the main series and its fixation on Beyond a Man's quest for answers to basic philosophical questions. A solid start to Peter Gilbert week. I wonder if he can keep it up for all 5 issues I've picked out. I'll hand Doctor Strange 74 a 7 thumbs up.